Good early evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging. Well, coming at you with thoughts of the day from my hammock at this moment, in case that slipped by you. I'm kind of playing hooky because I'm supposed to be moderating the Mike Rivera chat, but honestly, some people don't even want moderators. Kat had to leave early. And really, I just couldn't take another minute of hearing a phone call about, oh, somebody just called in, literally saying what a tremendous, wonderful, thoughtful, terrific asset to humanity Robert E. Lee was. Maybe he was for certain things, but come on, give me a break. And how the Civil War had nothing to do with slavery. That's what he said. Just states' rights. Now, I really didn't want to get into this at all, but I think I'm going to have to. I'm just going to... See, when I did my live stream the other day, I recommended for people to look up some things about it, because I didn't really have an opinion at that time about the statues. I've kind of changed my mind on it. Not sure if I want them all taken down, but I think... I don't really want them taken down, but I'd like some historical significance, like a little plaque, you know what I'm saying, that explains what it's all about, Alfie. I think that would be a happy medium. And in the case of these particular, the Confederate statues, I, like many people, I was under, well, it's been a couple of years since I've kind of known. Well, I knew about the flag. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. I, like many other people, kind of thought that, these were a tribute to the fallen soldiers, like right after the Civil War, they went up and this and that. And that's really not the case. I'm just going to ask you to please look into this. Please research it, Google it, do whatever you want to do in terms of learning more about the statues. But they were literally a reaction to the civil rights movement. For example, whenever they would get any footing with that particular movement, you would see I was just looking at my timer here. You would see a rise in the statues going up. Like in the 1920s, there was a peak. And then in the 60s, during the civil rights era. And not only, but I mean, here's another clue, ladies and gentlemen. And then I'm going to move on from this because really, it's just upsetting. Then in, where was I? Oh, yeah. To this very day, there are some southern states, I'm not sure which ones, you'll have to research that as well, that, take note, I don't really research for people. I mean, I research so I know what I'm saying, but I like other people to kind of, I sort of get the ball rolling and then it's up to you sort of deal. I don't want to spoon feed you information, I suppose. Not that I'm going to come at you without knowing a darn thing I'm talking about. Well, sometimes I do, but I always confess. Anyhow, in a few southern states right this minute, right now, they honor Robert E. Lee Day on the very same day as Martin Luther King Day in the other states. So that's kind of a giveaway to me. I think it's Martin Luther King, or Robert E. Lee Day. I believe it is, yeah. So, I mean, it was basically an FU to the civil rights people. And when they erected these things, they did them sort of near courthouses or near things in the public where it just showed like, hey, we're still in charge here. Do you know what I mean? We have the upper hand kind of deal. So really they were a reaction to any kind of footing that the African Americans were getting, the freed slaves at that time, whatever you want to call it, the generational people that, had been slaves or their relatives. So, that I didn't really realize the depth of it until recently. I did know about the battle flag of Northern Virginia since 2015 because I looked into it for a column that I did. So, and not to mention Robert E. Lee himself said that he really didn't want anything celebrated afterward. Like the country had been united. He did not want that flag to come out, his battle flag, which now we know as the Confederate flag. There were several renditions of that, but anyhow, rendition, is that the right word? At any rate, and he didn't want to be buried in his Confederate uniform or really have anybody there in theirs when he died. That was part of his death wish, or funeral plans, or whatever you call it. So, yeah, I mean, you really have to look into this. Somebody who says that slavery had nothing, or the Civil War had absolutely nothing to do with slavery, I mean, my God, at least reach a happy medium. I know there were some economic factors and whatnot, but here's all they have to do. Go read the letters of secession written by the states. It sounds like the states got out of pen, but you know what I mean. Go and look them up. There's a place, I think it's called civilwar.org, maybe. I don't remember, but they, I don't know, and I'm not on my laptop, clearly I'm on this, my phone. They, strive to keep the battlefields in order and, you know, all the history intact and things like that, this organization. They literally have the letters for the reasons why these states seceded from the Union. And, I mean, I think in Mississippi, slavery is mentioned like 27 times or something. I don't know, I just threw out the number 27. So that's the deal there. Please look up into the history of the stuff. I mean, everybody wants to preserve their history, so look up the history of the statues. And if you want to keep the statues, that's great. But I think it'd be nice to have a plaque there, you know, an explanation thing, whatever you call it, explaining when they were erected, why they were erected, and why this particular leader is such a hero to the Confederacy or whatever. Now, one other thing about that. General Longstreet, I always want to call him Longfellow. I think it was Longstreet, I'm almost positive. After the Civil War, he wanted equal rights for the African Americans that had been freed, for the slaves that had been freed. He was not honored in a Confederate, no statues were erected to his honor, period, until I think 1992 or 94, the early 90s. So, I mean, doesn't that just give you a clue, ladies and gentlemen, as to what was really going on here? It was a direct thumb of the nose, or whatever it's called, to the civil rights movement. So anyhow, I guess that's that. Now I wanted to talk about the eclipse. I have had like this, I was so excited today after that eclipse. I mean, during it was so neat. Now ours didn't go all the way, of course, but it was just like the sky seemed bluer. I did a little bit of videoing from that time. The sky seemed bluer, and like there was this haze, and the rooster down the road was crowing, and the crickets were out. It was a weird feeling, almost a spiritual experience. In fact, I did a little meditating right as it went completely, you know, as much as we were going to get here. Our peaking time, I did some meditation. So that was pretty neat, and I don't know, I've just been kind of a silly mood ever since. So perhaps it's related to the eclipse. All kinds of interesting things going on with eclipse conspiracy theories, I guess you'd say. Oh, mosquitoes. I can always use this, ladies and gentlemen. Uh-oh. I think he's getting in bed with me, though. That's not so good. Oh, sorry. My gosh, you got a close-up of my right eye. Well, this might help a little. I have my netting over me, see? At any rate, I moved to a different locale. God, I'm awfully close to you now. Just to be close to you. Okay. At any rate, well, I think that I was going to go live, but I would be competing with Lionel. So, there was no sense in trying. And, yeah, so I just wanted to come at you with that. It's just, please, you know, look into this. I don't want to have some argument break out in my comment area about the statues. I think we can reach... I didn't even want to talk about the damn statues, remember? But I feel I'm forced to do it. And because I did it during my live stream, and some people didn't see it, and some people didn't look afterward at the video. So I thought maybe you'd look at this one. But, yeah, I mean, those things came up directly, like years later. 1920s was a peak, in 1960s they were at peak. And at the same time, the KKK was rising as well. So... yeah, there you have that. I really, before you make any comments, if you want to have a conversation, that's fine. But please just look into it, the history of those, when they were erected, so on and so forth. Okay, I guess that's all. I've been giddy and kind of fun ever since the eclipse until I went over to Mike Rivero. Not that he didn't have a good show from when, you know, the time I was there. It was just, you know, it's a little depressing because he talks a lot about the, you know, our non-stop wars and things like that. Of course, he's against them. That's one reason I like him. So, and then when it just, everybody wants to talk about statues all the time. Evidently, the mainstream media is still talking about it. Is there any word on Russia? Is anybody, you know, or has that just been dropped entirely? Because, as you know, that was debunked. And, of course, that never made the media. Not even some of the alternative, like Tom Hartman, has mentioned. Oh, there we go. the veterans report, the former veteran intel professionals who did, this report showing, they did an investigation showing that Russia did not hack. So I wonder if we're ever going to hear that. Probably not. But it's just so clear as a bell to me how the media just drops things and moves on to the next shiny object, which all of these ridiculous, let's take down this, let's mow down the other, let's, remove this thing, let's have a protest. It is pretty blatantly obvious to me anyway, I don't know, that a lot of it is being staged to keep people divided. We need to come together and forget about it. Even if you're a libertarian and other people around you are socialist, leaning more socialist, who cares? We need to come together and join forces against the establishment, the 1%, the people who are really, really keeping us divided. Not this petty stuff against each other with statues and race wars, and not that race wars are petty, but I think you know what I mean. This is all a ploy. We must unite as one. Embrace your communist neighbor. Make sweet love to your right-wing Republican friend. On my live chat, we have people there that are more libertarian leaning to literal communists. I love that. And we don't sit there and call each other names either. It's just an open discussion. Oh my God. Okay, Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging while coming at you with thoughts of the day. Please join together with me. Drop your political identities. Let's focus on issues. Let's fight the real enemy, the 1%, the hidden hand, the real rulers of the world, the corporate overlords. Let's go!